Hello. Before we get started, we'd like to take a moment to recognize Mike Thompson. Uh, we received word recently that Mike passed away unexpectedly on Sunday, April 26. Mike was a champion for students and for school counseling. Mike was integral to making career readiness one of the standards for education in our state and helped to secure school counselors' unique position as leaders in schools in Pennsylvania. The roundtable video is only a portion of what was an hours long conversation where Mike shared his passion for students through his career. Uh, and in addition to that, how much fun and how much he loved training school counselors across the state of Pennsylvania. And just his continued advocacy for the profession and for comprehensive school counseling with the Department of Education. Mike was really an icon when it comes to school counseling. And so now the coronavirus roundtable with Michael D. Thompson. He'll be greatly missed. Hi, and welcome back to another PSCA Coronavirus Roundtable. We're here with, I feel like a Pennsylvania school counseling legend, Mike Thompson. Mike, could you introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Hello, I'm Mike Thompson, trainer for K-12 guidance plans in the state of PA, former counselor at Middletown School District.
Middletown. Nice. Uh, so as we get started, Mike, can you tell us a little bit as far as your work when it comes to school counseling, from being a counselor at Middletown area school district to the work that you're doing today?
Well, I've been able to travel around the state in the last 10 years, and I retired in 2009, and I helped develop a K-12 career development model and a high school pathway program at Middletown. And I did work at all three levels as a school counselor. And then when I retired, I was asked to help set a model up for a template to train counselors on developing a K to 12 program. And that's what I've been doing until recently.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, it seems like you bring just a range of experience, both your professional experience, but also, like the reality is, Mike, you've been a linkage, a tie and bind, frankly, for all school counselors in the state. Um, just looking at the impact of school closures, what are some of your biggest concerns from your perspective right now?
Well, obviously that connection, real time connection with teachers, counselors, with their students and family is so critical. And
Mm.
yet, at a time like this, it really points out how important it is to stay connected, whether it's virtually or face to face. And I'm not really concerned about uh, the ability of counselors and staff to rebound from this. I think things will go back to normal at some point down the road. But what I have noticed about this period of time is, at least for myself, because I've had a lot of time to think, is reflecting on, if I was a counselor right now in a system, what would I be doing to feel like I was doing the best I could for my kids? And I think about the way I delivered my program and the things that I asked school counselors to do to deliver their program. And I'm trying to think whether or not I could be as effective remotely as I was directly. So it's challenged me to think in different ways on how I can impact the system. And I think, of course, in the career domain, that's typically where I trained. But it's not just the domain; it's the type of interventions that we did. So, what types of tier ones, what types of tier twos and threes could I do from a distance that I wasn't doing before, and maybe I could be doing now? So it's really gotten me to think, even as a retired person, of what I would be doing to help systems train counselors to develop a program that's remote.
Hmm.
So it's been a challenge, I guess, for everyone. But thinking of it specifically to how counselors might be responding to their current situation.
Yeah, it seems like there are a ton of different levels here as far as, and I know a lot of our discussions have been ways that we can address both supporting all of our students and also some of those more targeted supports. Like you were talking a little bit as far as the the impact as far as at least from supporting students from the career domain. what have been, like, from your perspective, some of those the biggest impacts when it comes to a student's career readiness or their pipeline experiences?
Well, um, obviously there's different levels of preparation, and
Mhm.
going back to the different levels, the elementary students, of course, it's a self-awareness. So uh, of themselves and their environment around them. And then in the middle school level, it's the exploration phase of taking what they've learned about themselves in those prior grades and then exploring it in the middle levels. And then, of course, at the high school level, it's the planning stage where they take those experiences and then use them to try on roles and plan for some kind of program. The challenges with not having school is direct school is that some of those experiences, there's the inability to share some of those experiences in a direct way with significant adults, which could be done, but
Mhm.
it's not set up that way. And then the inability, the biggest challenge is the inability to be out in the workplace and in post secondary and try things on. So it takes a little bit more planning, a little more um, innovation to come up with ways to show the impact for kids. But it can be done. It's just a different way of thinking and different way of doing things.
Yeah, was uh, I was on the Center for Budget and Policy Practice, but I was surprised they were actively recruiting interns at that point to do distance internships. I was like, yeah, good for you. But they're the budget setter, so they know how to find money for that stuff, I guess.
Right.
Like, do you, I mean, have you been hearing anything? I know you get probably dozens of emails a day from counselors around the state. Have you been hearing anything as far as different ways that they're trying to support career readiness or support students out there during this time?
Well, you know, not really, not specifically. I think one of the things that I think what happens is that career readiness is gets addressed after academic and mental health or social emotional situations. I think that this domain gets addressed finally because it's more neutral and it's not in everybody's face. And it's the last thing that happens, but in many ways, it could be the first thing addressed. I don't hear of anything from PDE or the state regarding this work because it is pushed on the back burner.
Yeah.
But it could be something that could be talked about with kids in an indirect way, using a innovative approach to it. I know that certain platforms out there, like Smart Futures and Naviance, have things that can be used for students to develop interventions remotely and with chat rooms. But
Yeah.
as far as specific organization of those things, I think right now it would have to be individual districts deciding what they want to do with that domain.
Yeah, I think there's a unique opportunity, particularly now as we move forward. I mean, the reality is that we have one of the largest losses of jobs in history. What was it, 26 million that was announced this week?
Yeah.
I think it's a really unique opportunity where having conversations as far as career readiness and career planning becomes that much more vital for us at this point.
For sure.
Yeah. I guess when we talk about really supporting students, particularly during such a sensitive time, both now and moving forward as far as career readiness, uh, help help everyone right now while they have a chance just to have a direct conversation with you. How can we best do that? What are going to be the best practices that we can do to support a student in their career readiness journey?
Well, I think that if you look at the four strands of the career standards, there are four specific buckets of things that students develop competencies. And I don't think these go away when we have a crisis. But if you look
Yeah.
at the first one, which is awareness and preparation or planning, there's certain competencies that you could address with kids at each level. And self-awareness, for sure, connected to what's out there and what's going on in the workforce and what's being lost with this crisis is a key part, is paying attention to your own skills, what your own goals are, personal goals, career goals, academic goals, and then looking at continuing to develop new ways to explore things, even though we're shut down. So looking at awareness of self connected to whether it be a career cluster activity or a Holland assessment of how your personality fits into this situation. Um, and even in looking at the idea of stress level connected to how you could handle your own personal stress level in a situation like this, in the context of what type of career you would want to get into that involves a certain amount of stress. I mean, you could look at it that way.
Yeah.
The other strands that I think are important is what skills have you developed to access things, to research, and this is in strand 2, researching anything, developing communication skills, whether they're verbal or written in the second strand. I mean, these are all things that you can continue to hone and work on while we're in this current situation. Developing your portfolio, looking at things in your portfolio that you're interested in, going deeper in websites connected to what's out there and accessing a career. Have you even developed a resume? You know, have you thought about how you would interview someone?
Mm-hmm.
And these are all types of skills in them. And of course, in the retention area of the career standards is the whole idea of developing team skills, developing collaborative skills. I mean, these are things that are social emotional learning progressions that individuals need to keep a job and also to advance in a position. And then the last thing is, what kind of entrepreneurial skill sets do you have? What can you do? You know, how can you help the community with a fundraiser, like to help make masks? I mean, there's tons of things out there in the entrepreneurship area that kids do anyway. They do, and they pay attention to what's needed, and that is the form of that strand. So looking at the way that the skills are built in the standards, I think you could go inside those competencies and really design some kind of online learning connected to every single one of those. And those are artifact activities that you could end up using for your index and for your PIMS reporting. I mean, so they're all there. They're part of life. You just have to become familiar with how to innovatively use them.
I mean, like, one of the messages I think has been so resonant during this time is the amount of creativity and innovation that we've been seeing just come through on our Facebook, our Instagrams, our TikTok, of the creativity of our students and how they're engaging with each other. I think that's a beautiful piece of capturing some of those skills, whether it be the communication skills or the creativity in some of these entrepreneurial type activities. I think that's a really great thing to highlight.
And also right now, kids have a chance to go deeper with things and think
Yeah.
deeper than they did before. They're not in a hurry. It's not about the grades right now. It truly isn't. I mean, if you really think about this, I mean, it's just getting work done, but also going deeper with thinking. And this is the type of topic that, and the part of life that, you know, maybe self-reflection right now is a good byproduct of what's going on.
Yeah.
And I know counselors are pretty darn good at that. And I think that reflection statements of what's occurring now, and I can think of a good one, would be how when I look back in my life on what happened in 2020, how did it impact me? And what do I want to do with my future that's going to help our world connected to what happened? I mean,
Yeah.
what an intervention, is career development intervention, that is.
What I love about like how you're laying this out too, like the savviness of it all, is like what you're able to do with ease, where some of us struggle through just navigating through the 4 domains. Like clearly you're walking us through it, but you're also simultaneously talking about the foundations of like social emotional learning, from like the self-awareness and self-reflection to the perspective taking and social engagement to the problem solving and like active piece. Like you do all those things seamlessly in the language piece, and also talk about how we can realistically do this to advance our student skill set when it comes to career readiness, and use those as like PIMS reporting pieces too.
Right.
I mean,
they're all connected. Now, the maintaining of relationships in the social emotional learning area.
Yeah.
like think about like that's in strand 3 of the career standards. Those
Yeah.
right now, what we're working on at PDE is the integration of the I can statements from the social emotional progressions and the I statements from this career education and work standards. And that will be worked on, and that's going to be developed this fall, um, which I can't wait to be able to roll them out and share with counselors. Because what we're going to do is we're going to integrate both of those domains together in the curriculum connected to both.
Yeah.
And PE has given us the okay to do that this last week.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to them. That makes a lot of sense, and clearly we were able to talk and break that down very seamlessly as far as the direct applications and value for our students.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we're rolling this out with a ton of other resources during hopefully the symposiums I'm going to look forward to next fall.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, you're talking about it right now. When it comes to career readiness PA, what are some of the things that are currently under development, or things that we can look forward to help to navigate and support our students both during school closures or after, that you're able to share with us right now?
Well, you might be familiar with the 10 workforce regions in a state. And in the last year, PDE rolled out the 10 workforce regions connected to IUs and a career ready team in each region. And what we did is in our group is we formed a group of counselors, and I call them counselor leads. And right now there's about 53 counselor leads in the 10 workforce regions that I would like to introduce to the Counselors Association so that we can come up with strategies on how in each region of the state, school counselors can support the work of PDE and the Department of Labor and Industry connected to career development. So those are some of the things that are happening now. Last year, they had trainings at universities connected to the stakeholder engagement piece of post-secondary.
Mm-hmm.
And they also did trainings in the IUs connected to the workforce regions. Right now, I do not know what the next step is for them, but my focus has been on connecting school counselors in each region to what the PDE workforce region is going to be doing. So we'll have to stay tuned on that.
All right, stay tuned. Um, are there any other things that we see as far as emerging at this point, as far as career readiness and PA
Um, just that the K-12 guidance plan will be housed on the PDE website on the portal, and that will happen this fall. So every superintendent is going to be instructed on where these 13 plans are going to be housed, and it's a public-facing document. So your K-12 guidance plan is going to become featured right on the PDE website and right on your district website.
Yeah.
So this is going to put counselors front and center as key folks, key players in the basically in the strategic plan of the school district.
That's really awesome. I think that becomes a unique challenge and opportunity for us. I'm really excited about. You know, like, I know we talked a lot as far as just the current conditions of schools. We've talked a lot as far as just some really practical suggestions and insights that you provide, and kind of the future of school counseling and career readiness. Just looking at that all together, what are some of the big ideas that you feel like you'd want to most communicate with our viewers right now?
I would love to see school counselors paying attention to the importance of their role and try to look at the big picture and of their whole department in their system and all three levels. I know we spend a lot of time in the weeds, and that's part of the role of the counselor is you're the person doing what's got to be done at that moment in time. But for what I can see is that you should celebrate your importance and you should look at your role as key and believe that. And personally, not always having to ask permission to do what you do. And advocate for yourselves individually, but collectively as a team, because we're much stronger as a team than we are as individuals. And you guys are so important for our kids.
So brilliant. People might attack me if I don't ask this question. Mike, has anyone been asking you any questions about career artifacts for this year?
Yes, everyone. Right now, there are no answers yet from the federal government to our state government. The testing issue got addressed immediately, of course. Even though the artifact collection is significant and it's important, a decision has not been made yet. So just stay tuned on that. The PDE website will have reporting on this. And Laura Frederici at PDE is the contact. And if you want to email me, I can get you that email contact.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mike. And continue to go to PE's COVID website for all sorts of resources beyond just this. So I really appreciate the passion that you have for school counseling. You really have, in the work that you've done, really advocated for roles in a very unique way that I think have helped to strongly position school counselors and our ability to support students, both now and moving forward. And Mike, this is me just telling you directly. I really appreciate it. I'm going to ask you the same closing question I ask everyone who comes on and talks. During these times, what are you doing for your own self-care?
I run every day or hike, and I FaceTime with my grandchildren.
That's awesome.
And I'm cooking, and I'm actually healthier than I was a month ago.
That's fantastic. I'm trying to do something that looks like cooking, except everything's coming out slightly burnt, but I call that char, which is good for flavor, right? Active carbon. Really, in the end, Mike, I really want to thank you again for all that you've done for the profession and really for sharing just your insight with us today. It's really invaluable. And on behalf of PSCA, please stay safe and stay healthy and stay connected. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.